November 8th, 2010. Everyone was lined out the door at their nearest Best Buy, GameStop, or maybe Toys R Us. Honestly, I didn't know they sold video games. I thought they only sold toys. Anyways, everyone was lined out the door waiting for Black Ops 1. Aw shit, man. This is it, man. Chug a little bit of Mountain Dew, eat our gamer fuel, Doritos, and the second my ass hits this couch, it's go time. Multiplayer. The campaign. Amazing. But also, what's this little thing? Zombies? Huh? Oh man, this brings back memories now, but in 2010, I did not know what I was getting into. Alright, now I know this is a situation of if you know, you know, but seriously, why is it that Black Ops 1 Zombies is just fucking amazing and the new ones look like poopy trash? And for that matter, why is it that these have the best zombies and why is it that it may never feel the same again? Well, to really answer this question, we gotta first talk about the origin of this beautiful game mode. Back when Activision was actually releasing bangers, all these are bangers, and not the same slop over and over again, there was a little game called World at War. God, this shit is nostalgic. That menu screen music, the campaign being gritty and grounded, keyword grounded, because that word will come back many a time in this vid. Just an overall masterpiece that by looking at Activision's track record now, it feels like, how did this ever come out of their poop hole? Well, it did, and it changed up the franchise for the better, and was, for many, the main introduction to this mode. After finishing the campaign and thinking while the credits are rolling, time to go play some multiplayer, I wonder how many people I will kill. Should I eat another bag of Doritos? Maybe some more Mountain Dew? Maybe. It's time to start going outside. You're prompted with this. Little amazing present, a surprise sent down from heaven. The first Call of Duty Zombies map, in all of its glory. Distant screams of the undead, eerie scenery, and dark crusty ass hallways. It's actually really cool how they just repurposed this section from a multiplayer map, but it feels as though this building was made to have crazy motherfuckers running at you, trying to eat your butt. World at War Zombies was setting the vibes for what was to come in Black Ops 1. It had mystery, a chill about it. In Nocturne Toten, we had yet to meet the characters that we all know, but that mystery is what made this whole thing intriguing and made the people question what's next and where's this going, or how did this happen, or when did you last wipe your ass? With each zombie map released for World at War, the story evolved further and further, and those same initial questions bigger and bigger. By the third map, Shino Numa, our characters had voices and names, that went beyond just basic soldiers. And by Riese, the final map in ANW, we were introduced to the lore, the idea of Easter eggs, and Pack-a-Punch. Pack-a-Punch, yo shit. It was where the zombies mode we love was starting to take shape. Actually, an interesting little tidbit, Keener der Toten, as well as Call of the Dead, was going to be in World at War, but got moved to Black Ops 1 because gotta keep that COD train moving. World at War Zombies is a gritty experience, yet feels very much in its infancy, but despite this, that vibe that today's COD Zombs is missing is present in World at War. This was a perfect setup for the creation of what really started the whole thing being a serious cult classic in gamers' minds. When I personally think of zombies, I think of Keener der Toten. The theater, the 1911 gun sounds, it no longer sounds like a little pea shooter. I think of turning on the power for the first time, the curtains opening, and these stinky gross fucks crawling down to make a big stink cloud in your face. Dude, can you take a fucking bath? Shit. I think of that grounded feeling when playing. The weapons being rooted in reality and not some weird distant future that we actually are in. Like, what the fuck? It's 2026. That's past Black Ops 2. Honestly, these future guns in these COD games just look like Nerf guns to me, and is one of the things that takes away from that grounded experience. World at War set the foundation for zombies, but Black Ops 1 solidified it in history. What made Black Ops 1 Zombies so unique is its simplistic feel. No crazy notifications popping up all over your fucking screen. Just the things that are necessary for gameplay. Points, ammo, grenades on the bottom right, the bottom left, perks, and the round indicator. This made the whole thing feel more based in reality. Dare I say, immersive. This immersiveness was oozing out of Black Ops 1. You can really see this in the campaign. Known as one of the best COD campaigns, and I believe it's due to it feeling gritty and real like the way World at War was. None of this shit. I mean, look at when they remade Modern Warfare. The reason why this blew up is because it looked real and super immersive, not because it had the characters from The Boys. All that realness in the Black Ops 1 campaign was felt in the zombies mode. Though it was not realistic, I mean, is an army of zombies trying to kill you while you travel through multiple curated maps that have a box that give you a weapon, with then sometimes it's a ray gun or something. Realistic? No, but goddamn, the vibes of these original maps feels hard to beat. They don't feel all over the place with objectives. Subtlety can really add to the atmosphere, and that's what Black Ops has in abundance. Take a look at the map Moon. You start off at Area 51 thinking, where is this going? Then you activate the portal, teleport, and now you're on the moon. Back in 2010, this was kind of mind-blowing, but you proceed to discover, in my opinion, one of the coolest Easter eggs of all time. Not because there are giant arrows pointing you where to go, or a bunch of random tiny mini games in between, but subtle clues around the map that are carrying the story forward. It's still obviously a video game and contains video gamey things like perks and a magical box, but you don't find yourself losing that feeling of immersion. Lots of games from this era seem to have this immersive quality. Maybe it's technical limitation, or maybe we just need a million fucking things stimulating us at once, but man, I just liked this way better. You know, by me saying that I like this simple HUD or more toned down experience, I'm not saying that adding and innovating should not take place. I definitely think it should, but perhaps with constraints to know not to delve too far into stimulating your brain like a pair of electrodes hooked up to your medial forebrain bundle or some shit. But hitting that balance. Also, maybe just not including greedy tactics like loot crates into it. I think that shit just blows especially coming from a multi-billion-dollar company. I have this alternate timeline in my head where Black Ops Zombies goes down a more grounded route, an experience that just improves on graphics, weapon variety, and Easter egg complexity, but leaves the core experience relatively unchanged. Creative constraints is something that is actually quite powerful, but I believe as time went on, the Zombies mode forgot that, leaned more heavily into accepting every idea that could be seen as making it more entertaining for the player. But before they embraced that mindset, there was Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is perhaps where Black Ops Zombies really nailed the atmospheric vibes. It had some of the best maps in the series, and it was an example of where I personally wanted to see the direction of COD Zombies taken in. There were some really cool innovations, like finding parts and building items, as well as some really unique maps that had gameplay elements that made things feel fresh, but not ungrounded. Mob of the Dead, for example, adding in the afterlife feature to turn on the power, or Die Rise adding in verticality instead of horizontally expanding the map. It was an example of keeping the grounded feel of the original Black Ops Zombies, but innovating and doing bigger ideas with less technical limitations. The best example of this was Origin. Man, did this map blow me away when I was a little lad. Origin introduced tons of innovative gameplay, like these Iron Giant dudes that you had to avoid being stepped on by them, but later discovered that you gotta get stepped on by them. Or the elemental staffs that each had their own unique advantages and disadvantages. Just some truly groundbreaking shit. Even the menus and overlaying graphics all felt like a step in the right direction, improving on the grounded feel that Black Ops 1 had, but not taking it too far into overstimulating your little brain. With Black Ops 1 and 2, it felt as though zombies could only go up from here. And it did. Kinda. A lot of people think that Black Ops 3 is an awesome game. That includes me as well. The main reason for this has gotta be custom zombies. Ever since I built my first computer, custom World at War zombies were one of my go-to things to come back to. Experiencing different people's creations, seeing what very intellectual maps people create, or just seeing people do what Treyarch couldn't. That was what really made 3 one of my favorite Black Ops games. Bringing back those beloved custom zombie tools and letting people make their own worlds and lore. Like this lore. Despite loving Black Ops 3, this iteration of Black Ops is where I really started to notice the downfall of zombies as a genre. It was where the idea of trying fresh ideas started to become the main focus. So much so, it was starting to lose its identity. Things were starting to be added to the game mode that really changed the vibe of the whole thing. One of which was gobblegums. Now I know for many this made things feel fresh, but for me it was the introduction of making zombies feel more like multiplayer and less like its own thing. This, along with being able to add attachments in the lobby and Black Ops 3 containing weapons that just don't really exist in real life, kinda made this whole thing feel different. There were some good maps on this, but none felt like they matched that sense of awe, eeriness, and grounded feel that those original maps had. Sure, there were some interesting maps like Shadows of Evil or Der Eisendrache, but you can tell there was an itch for those classics. You know that this was the case, since Zombie Chronicles ended up releasing a collection of all those classics, really drawing popularity back to Black Ops 3. Also, some of the most liked custom zombie maps are just remakes of previous masterpieces, like Mob of the Dead or Call of the Dead. The story of BO3 Zombies started to take an interesting turn. It started to evolve into this idea of alien-type creatures who were low-key responsible for this whole thing. To me, this made it all feel a little too much like Call of Duty Ghost Extinction mode, which is just not, it's just mid. It's just so mid. Basically just fighting alien octopusy dudes, and not what made me fall in love with the mode in the first place. Killing hordes of zombies. To me, it just made it all feel a little too messy. Though I think it started to trend downhill here, I still believe this is where a lot of things were improving. Everything felt smoother gameplay wise and started to really look a lot better in terms of graphic fidelity and attention to detail. But you can tell ideas were starting to run a little dry. And the identity that once made Treyarch Zombies so unique and amazing was starting to slip away. Like that.
It's a moment of time with a bunch of creative people working. And sometimes the restrictions or where they're at or what's happening is captured. You know, I've talked about this idea that I truly believe that, you know, if you cook with love, the food tastes better, right? Right. Well, in the same way, that passion gets captured in these moments. Not just in the creation of the individual items, but what you can and can't do, and then the ingenuity and creativity to overcome those problems. That's what these maps then become. That's you know, when you talk about the spirit or the soul of a map or a campaign, it's capturing those drives. When I look at this map, what I see is the faces of all the people who did it, and I know that when they touched that, they came up with that, and that's how that worked, right? I remember the conversations, and what makes me very happy is the vibe that's created is the personality of the people who worked on it and kind of created. And so that's why even maps that the community might say, oh, this is not so much of our favorite. Right. I look at it and go, it's special to me because it looks a certain way when I look at it. But so the end of each map, you always go, I could have done that different. Like, yeah, but you almost don't want to because it's a special moment in time.
You can see that these things were more than just ways for the company to make money. People who worked on these maps cared. They cared for the art of it. I mean, if you just look at the creation of Mob of the Dead, you can see that.
Went out, studied Alcatraz, not just from books or internet. They were actually there to feel the environment.
Jason, the lead director on the classic Zombies, says that when he looks at these maps, no matter if they're seen as bad maps, he still sees the people that worked on them. The collection of efforts put into each aspect of the map, big or small. That is why there's such a difference with Black Ops 3 and going onward. These efforts felt like they were starting to fade away. Black Ops 4 is where it became super apparent. Most of the maps on here are just reimaginations of previous maps. Albeit, some of them are quite cool looking. It still feels like that personality is starting to slip. Things that are being tested and created at the expense of making the experience feel more dull, or just really worse. Black Ops 4 is where they introduced a new way of viewing perks. Instead of your traditional predetermined 4 perks with ways to get more on some maps, you get 4 that you pick as a part of your class now. You're no longer discovering what perks will be on the map. You now just select them before it. This shifts the whole feel of Zombies. Zombies was never about creating classes before a match, like in multiplayer. It was always about strategizing where you'll use your points, locating perks on the map so you can set yourself up for potentially completing the Easter egg. Part of the fun of Zombies was finding the new perks on a map, hearing the jingles when you finally take a sip of that delicious cola. You'd get used to the routes, and this was a big part of the core experience. It also means that you had to work with whatever colas that the devs gave you, not interchangeable, so you can only pick the ones that create the most powerful combination. It was also always fun when maps would have a limit on how many perks you can buy, but creative ways in which you could get more. Now, this is just one change. I know I'm fixating on the perks, but they added other things like having a special ability like Overwatch or some shit, and introducing elixirs, which are just gobblegums but now thematically kind of blow. It's just almost like they saw Overwatch or just class-based mechanics in multiplayer games and were like, yeah, let's do that. Let's put that in there. Because it's gonna make this mode more rich with gameplay evolving features. Like Evolve, the game. That game did well. Like Concord. This is where it became apparent that the focus was on evolving zombies to be as replayable as possible, something that resembled multiplayer in nature but was starting to sacrifice the identity of what made zombies special. That more features meant more game time and money for Treyarch, yay! Though it was hard for me to see a game mode I loved so much change in a shitty direction, this pales in comparison to what COD Zombies was gonna turn into. If we fast forward to modern zombies, we see that with the last 3 iterations, they look and feel nothing like the zombies that we once knew. We see that it has a lot of elements that are just from Warzone, that the pace of the game has been changed due to added objectives. Just shit all over your screen. Here's a location. That the shift towards making money for these greedy little guys has greatly affected Call of Duty and has infested the mode that I loved so dearly. That the goal of it to feel more like a pleasure center, more of an entertainment machine, has been accomplished. Though there can be fun aspects of the new COD Zombies, maybe added levels of progression, we lost this and instead have this. When I first wanted to make a video about this, my initial gut feeling was that it feels as though people have just forgotten the magic that we all felt while playing these, that we have never gotten a true successor to this. But I feel like maybe that does not paint the whole picture. Maybe it's just never been highlighted in a way that makes people appreciate this otherwise generally overlooked game mode. That it was never highlighted that the zombie mode, though it sounds silly, is another impactful piece of media just like any other meaningful game. That there was never an emphasis on a grounded experience, but always one on trying to make it bigger with more things to do. Trying to make zombies more appealing by implementing multiplayer mechanics into it. That the campaign and multiplayer was always the focus, and zombies was always an afterthought. For me, zombies were and always are the main course. The shit I love the most in Black Ops games. So my hope was never for zombies to reach a mainstream audience or to become more efficient at entertaining me, but to become a higher quality and more developed experience. An experience where developers had the same love and excitement that I had when I played it. And frankly, Frank, I know you've watched it, Frank, that's just not the headspace for this mode anymore. And really, this entire franchise. For just a moment though, it was some of the best moments in my life. Whether I was just mowing down zombies or hunting down the secrets of the map with my friends, this was peak. But not peak the game. And it may never feel this way again. Since the focus is now on capturing attention and using every strategy in the book to make this mode more stimulating rather than exploring what made those first couple of maps so good. Grounded, mysterious, subtle, creative, and most of all, passionate game design. So my hope is, going forward, that someday someone with the same love for these original zombie experiences decides to take it back to its roots, or perhaps make their own experience, an experience that truly captures that essence that early Call of Duty zombies had. I hope that more people recognize what made the first iterations of zombies special. Why just a focus on cheap fun and not quality will destroy the experience for the people who valued the mode for what it truly was in the first place. An amazing piece of beautiful media that shaped many people's nostalgia. An exciting adventure to be shared with friends, and just an awesome fucking mode. Ooh, okay, that was long. Anyways, if you like this think piece, comment what your favorite zombies map is. Go play some Black Ops 1. And subscribe if you want to. Keep going, living your life, do best you can, do what